G'day guys, welcome back to the Hobby Hatch. Like many of you out there, I've been playing a lot of Helldivers 2 lately, so to commemorate how kick-ass that game is, I decided to make a little diorama. So to get started, I 3D printed and primed these excellent Helldiver models sculpted by Tryphon Studios over on Colts, and then moved in with a dark grey through the airbrush to give them some directional light volumes. Then, using a slightly lighter grey, I dry brushed the entirety of each model to catch all those nice raised details. Then, on all the areas that were going to be painted with metallics, I painted a nice solid coat of Eshin Grey. Then I dry brushed on a very bright silver metallic paint to each of the armor panels and helmet, using Vallejo Model Air Steel. To prepare the Helldivers for the iconic yellow trim they have, I painted a coat of bright white paint so the yellow that we'll add later isn't dulled down by the dark paint underneath. Though upon painting the remaining Helldivers, I found that a few coats of yellow got a fairly similar effect, so this step really could have been left out. Then to paint the trim, I used Avalanche Sunset by Citadel Color. After a little bit of cleanup work, I painted on the helmet visors by adding a coat of Vallejo Steel and then glazing over a layer of a Kellyan Green contrast paint. The screen on the call-in radio got the same treatment, but was instead glazed with Hex-Ray Flame. Each of the little key buttons got a touch of Vallejo Model Color Vermilion. And after everything had dried, the model got a wash of Agrax Earthshade. To save you the boredom of watching me paint the exact same thing 3 more times, the other 3 Helldivers were painted the same way off camera. For the enemies of Super Earth, couldn't find any Terminid STLs at the time of recording, so instead I settled for these excellent Antlion sculpts from Half-Life. They should act pretty well as Terminid Hunter proxies from the game. To start off, I gave each a directional highlight through the airbrush using white ink. I then began painting each of the wing sections by stippling on a gradient of bright red to bright yellow. I then dry brush the entire model with Flayed One Flesh by Citadel Color. picked out the more chitinous sections of the wings with more flayed one flesh, and after all that had dried, I gave the entire model a coat of Agrax Earthshade to accentuate the recessed details. I mixed up a light reddy pink colour and painted the bug's underside. This then also got a dry brush of flayed one flesh. Moving on, to really sell the theme of Helldivers, I decided to include an Arachnid warrior from the oh-so-classic Starship Troopers movie.
I'm doing my part.
To paint, I gave it a directional highlight through the airbrush like the other bugs. Then, using Worrior Yellow by Citadel, I haphazardly splotched sections of the model to start creating the bright yellow patterning that you see in the film. I then covered the remainder of the model with black paint. Which I dry brushed with Eshin Grey. Around the iron on top of the warrior bug's back, there's kind of a reddy patterning there, so I stippled this on using a bright red paint. The last steps were to give the entire model a wash with null oil and to paint those lifeless eyes. I then moved on to the base, which I built up on a piece of foam and a cork placemat, which were glued together, to which I layered on some foam offcuts to build up the hill where our brave Helldivers will be fighting for democracy. I used a sharp knife to cut away the foam to remove some of the blocky appearance. And then the foam was sealed with a mixture of plaster, paint, and Mod Podge. Once the plaster mix had dried, I glued down some fine and then coarse gravel to give it some earthy texture. With all that done, I primed the base black and began painting it Mournfang brown with the airbrush. I gave it a directional highlight with Screaming Skull by Citadel. And painted the rocky areas with Eshin Grey, which I highlighted with Dawnstone and a quick dry brush of Administratal Grey. The last thing for the base was to lay down some matte Mod Podge and sprinkle on some grass flocking. With the base done, I glued all the models in place. As a final touch, I made a Super Earth flag out of a piece of soft drink can and a lollipop stick, and I glued it triumphantly to the top of the hill. With that in place, I called the diorama finished, and it was onto the Glamour Shots.
Gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest.
Thanks so much for watching, everyone. As always, if you liked the video and want to support the channel, the best way you can do that is by leaving a like and subscribing if you want to see more. Don't forget to leave any comments or feedback in the comment section below. I try to get back to and reply to each and every one of them. Anyway, thanks again for watching. Always more content on the horizon, so stay tuned and I'll see you in the next one.